Hello, welcome to another Alarms Day podcast. I'm back here, and we have a special guest today. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, Michelle Johnston here. I'm a personal trainer with Kiss Me Body Engineering, otherwise known as Keeping It Simple Body Engineering.
All right, yeah. This is a podcast where we have an owner of a business which is actually a pretty cool opportunity to have, and I'm gonna ask you a few questions.
Sure,
So and
happy to help.
So how are you like? How did you even come up with the idea of starting the personal training business from your original? Because I know originally you're an engineer, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
how did that kind of segue from engineering into the personal training? That's kind of a big leap,
Yeah,
you know.
it is a big leap, and it can be a long story, but we'll keep it simple as I like to do. And from an engineering, I was in engineering. I worked for Boeing for 7 years, and then my family and I moved overseas. And basically, I quit my job at that point and started raising my kids. I have 3 boys. And so moved back here to Frisco in 2015. And at that time, kind of went through some personal issues and got into kind of more. I've always been in fitness in some way, shape, or form. Never really training, but always like to keep active. And I decided to do a program for myself. It was a 12-week program, and it was based on, kind of getting fit, getting lean, and then doing a photo shoot at the end of that 12 weeks. So that was really neat. And that motivated me to kind of do a little bit more. I know that what it provided for me, not only physically, but also mentally, with the things that were going on in my life at the time. And so with that, I started coaching with the program that I did. I started coaching with the lady who was leading that program. And then from there, I figured, well, if I'm going to be coaching, I want to know more. I need to know, I have an engineering mind. I need to know how things work and why they work. And so I went and got my certification through NASM, and actually it was a 10-month long program, and it was quite intense. Most certifications are like 6 weeks long or a couple months long. This one was 10 months, and it was quite intensive. But anyway, it gave me the good core foundation of, how the body works and why it does what it does, and having kind of the engineering mind, you can see how things, push and pull, and how, your body functions. And so anyway, that kind of led me then into building my own business. I was doing some training with a gym for a little while, but it was hard. My husband was living overseas, so it was just me and the 3 boys. So I needed to find a good fit that I could do on a part-time basis. It wasn't something I needed to do, but I wanted to do. And so I kind of developed my own gym in my garage.
Oh wow,
And
yeah.
so then with that being said, I started taking on a couple clients. Some of the clients from the gym I worked at, they transitioned over, and so it's just been word of mouth, and it's been a very low-key model for me. I mean, we've got a lot of activities going on, and my husband still travels a lot. So it's a good opportunity to kind of do something that I'm passionate about, but at the same time not overwhelming. And then on top of that, I also, you always want to learn and kind of keep knowing what's new, and I also got a little bit more involved in nutrition as well, and so got a certification in that, and use that a little bit less, but it's more the personal training that I focus on. But nutrition's always a really important topic.
Yeah,
So,
that's wonderful. Yeah. So, what do you think sets aside your personal training from other programs? Like, I know you mentioned earlier that you focus on the injuries that that the clients have, and you try to work around them, right? Like, because that's
Right.
when I first talked to you and interviewed you. Then you kind of talked about how you worked with injuries. So, tell us more about
Sure.
that.
Well, it's really important. I think every trainer that starts, you got to find your niche. You got to find where you feel comfortable with, where, you feel like you can help people the most, and that, it's a two-way thing. You want to help people, but you want to feel, good about what you're doing. And so my thing is, I really focus on the long-term and kind of a lifestyle training. I like to think of being healthy and fit is something we do every day, just like brushing our teeth, using the bathroom. You know, it's something that just needs to be incorporated. And how do we teach that to people? And so I have clients that have come to me that, you know, have had injuries. I have one that's, you know, been with me almost 4 years now, and you know, he had lots of unfortunate events in the past with trainers that just couldn't really work with him. And so I think one of the things is I listen, and just understanding how things work, and knowing that when I'm with my client, that I listen to what their body's trying to tell me and tell them, and I want them to feel comfortable. And then knowing that fitness is not something that, you know, it's not going to change from one day to the next. It's a long-term thing. And so that's how I treat it. I treat it as something that's long-term, and until the day we die. And then hopefully I can teach good habits to these clients that, you know, that they can then go do it on their own, you know.
Yeah.
As much as I want a business and keep everyone for as long as I can, you know, my biggest, you know, what brings me most joy is that a client can say, hey, I went to the gym and I did some exercises on my own and I didn't feel so intimidated, or, you know, whatever the case may be. So
that's a really good thing that they're able to do things on their own, you know. Like businesses are also supposed to inspire people and like let them take away something useful, right? Like, so in their life after they come to you, they kind of or any personal trainer for that matter, they're supposed to like kind of not rely on a personal trainer. So that's wonderful that you have that. Like, I don't know if there are people that kind of rely on trainers for their whole entire life and just kind of use them as a crutch. But you're definitely not like that. It's just
it's definitely there.
You're definitely trying to do something different. Like, you know, trying to make people kind of give them a little boost so they can do on their own.
And I think a lot of people get down, especially if they have an injury or something. They get down and say, you know, I can't work out anymore because I hurt my ankle, or because my back went out, or because, you know, my shoulders, you know, don't rotate the way they should. And I think it's important to, you know, teach people that they can still do things even though you might have an injury. It's just being cognizant and aware and understanding how your body is talking to you. And then, I mean, I injured myself last year, and that was a big eye-opener on what things I can and can't do anymore. And, you know, and so that also helps with, you know, training others on how to get over those obstacles.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you also mentioned nutrition, right? Do you have also a certification from nutrition?
So yeah, through Precision Nutrition, I got a certification, and it was just a good insight to understand how nutrition goes hand in hand with your overall health. I mean, when we talk about exercise, you can't out-train a bad diet. And so at the end of the day, we also have to be aware of what we're consuming and putting into our body. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Yet again, my motto is keeping it simple. And that's exactly what this certification taught me, was that we don't have to count calories or count macros necessarily all the time. We can keep things very basic, and understanding, you know, the different food groups and what we're putting into our body. You can get more detailed, obviously, in your nutrition, especially if you got certain goals in mind. But yet again, I try to train for a lifestyle. So what is it that we can maintain? I don't like taking food out. I like putting food in. So as you think, like, okay, keep eating what you're eating, but now let's introduce some new things that maybe you haven't been eating.
And maybe
you
less of the old thing.
Well, it could be more vegetables. It could be, you know, things like that. But then naturally, you eat more of the good stuff. Some of the bad stuff starts falling away.
Yeah, like
so,
automatically.
Yeah, right. And so, you know, you got to think of it differently. You know, a lot of times we think diets and things are just so restrictive, and then it just kind of turns people away.
Yeah.
I know that for myself too. I'm no different. So yeah, nutrition is a big thing, and nutrition is what I tell my clients is it's about 70 to 80% of your health is nutrition, and then exercise just comes after that.
I also heard the same thing, like whenever that most of the stuff is made in the kitchen. Like right now, my friends and I, as all of y'all people watching the podcast, you're aware that my friends and I are doing the challenge for the six-pack, right?
Yeah.
So and pretty much the abs are revealed in the kitchen. So
abs are made in the kitchen. I think a lot of people.
They're made in the gym. So no matter how hard you work, like your abs are gonna be really big, but they're still going to be concealed by a layer of fat. So you have to eat right to make them revealed,
Right.
and that's kind of what like
gotta-
the whole point of nutrition is, right?
Yeah, and nutrition is, and I think a lot of things, I think we spoke about this yesterday, was, we talk about a lot on what is, what important things for nutrition is keeping our calories in check, without, going too detailed in calories, but, there's a lot of diet programs that are out there that, you're eating too little, and eating not enough is not good, because you restrict your body, and it's maybe good for the short term, but yet again, the long term, it's not going to benefit you.
I actually thought, like, before, I didn't know this, but like, I thought eating very low, like those diets, they help short term, like they can help you short term, but in reality it's not even, like, from what you said. Now I know that they're not that good in general. Like, it's best to avoid the low calorie diet altogether,
Yeah.
because I thought they would be helpful, but in some situations, but it turns out it's not really helpful
And
at all.
it is.
You know?
There's a time and place for it. I mean, you
Oh, really?
see lots of,
Yeah.
you might have, like, in cases where you might have a bodybuilder, or
Yeah.
you might have a competition, or something like that, where you feed your body lots and then you cut back, and then you kind of restrict your calories and stuff like that. And so when you get to that point, it's just short term, and it's just to achieve a certain goal. And then after that, these people you see on stages and stuff like that, you can't maintain that. I mean, you're looking at, for guys, 5-6% body fat. You're looking for women that are about 12 to 13%. That's not normal. I mean, you have to be able to live in an environment that you can sustain. And,
Yeah.
having that, I mean, it's nice. You can take pictures and go, yay, I did it. But at the end of the day, you got to fuel your body. And you also have to think of what's going on the inside, too, not just what you physically see on the outside.
So I have a question. Like, speaking of body fat percentage,
Mm-hmm.
do you think 9% is good? Like, if you're trying to do a contest, like, is 9% like on the borderline of unhealthy, or is it still
9-10%. I mean, that's pretty.
Like-
That's I mean, for guys, you'll hear them going down to 6-7%.
Yeah.
But yeah, 9-10 is still very lean, very very lean. I mean, even for a woman, you're looking at 12 to 15, 12%. That's very very lean.
But like 7 or 6 or 5, that's becoming a little bit.
Yeah, and that's not maintained. You can't
Like,
maintain.
if you
that.
maintain it, it's gonna be really difficult, right?
Yeah, I mean, for long term.
Yeah, it's not
healthy.
not
because,
healthy. Yeah.
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 At least that's my opinion. But you will see that commonly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Bodybuilders for sure. Like.
Sure. Yeah. But yet again, if you want to be strong and you want to be healthy, I mean, you want to look at, and that's the other thing too, is like we focus a lot about our weight. We look at that number on the scale, and that's one thing that we need to kind of take away and not focus so much on, because we don't realize that weight is made up of both our body fat as well as our muscle
And water.
and so
Yeah.
and water, and so you see that you don't know when when your body's shifting more muscle and less fat, and then vice versa, because you can tell how your clothes fit, you can see how your body's changing. But I mean, somebody that weighs maybe 150 pounds and then all of a sudden puts on 10 pounds of muscle, but they're wearing a size smaller, because it's obviously fat and muscle, they weigh the same, but they take
Density, right?
different amount of space up, right?
So like
your
muscle's
density-
more dense, yeah.
Muscle's more dense, so you're gonna be a smaller space than you do fat. Right?
Yeah.
So those are just little things to.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what advice would you give to other people that are trying to either get into the personal training field or just trying to become a personal trainer?
Oh, get into the field itself.
Or like just at least
Yeah.
to train other people, kind of,
Yeah, I mean, if you
yeah.
really have a passion, I think it's important. You need to have that passion. You're gonna find, and then it depends. Do you are you wanting to open up your own gym, or do you want to just keep it small? Like myself, I'm doing it more as a little side gig to keep you busy, interact. Sometimes when you're home with just the kids, you need a little outside intervention, and so. I really suggest is there's so many different things out there, all the different certifications you can get. You have ACE and NASM and, all kinds of different ones. You can even go into a gym. I mean, you look at like the YMCA, and they actually even do like their own certification and will train you and do everything for you through them, and then you can go on and get other certifications. Just be aware that learning is continuous. Every 2 years you have to recertify, so you have to regularly kind of hit the books.
Same
but
with
I think
CPR, right? Like CPR, you recertify every 2 years.
CPR,
Yeah.
same thing, and you have to do that too. That's required as well as a personal trainer. You gotta have CPR certification, and I think mainly it's just gaining that knowledge, and then not only just, everybody can go open the books and pass the test, but at the end of the day, it's getting the experience and really understanding, where your niche is. I mean, like I said, my niche was kind of lifestyle. Some people do sport performance, others like kids, other people like seniors. So it's like finding that niche. That's super important, because that's where you will excel. That's where you're going to really connect with your clients, because
Definitely.
and then working with your clients, I always say it's a two-way interview as well, because you might not mesh with every single person that you meet, and at first you're very anxious to want to have the clients in the business, but you're going to realize there's as you navigate people that you're working with, there's going to be those that are a good fit and those that are not, and it's okay to say no, and it's okay to give it time and just experience to really learn your way through, and just finding what fits for you. It's very personal. It's kind of ironic, but it is personal for me as it is for anybody else that's seeking a trainer too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you coming over and joining the podcast. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, I'm happy to help. So.
Yeah. Well, we'll see you next time.